The time has come to start looking at Sonic Sat AM. I was going to get to it eventually, but a number of my viewers helped speed up the timetable. Recently, I've passed 4,000 subscribers on this channel, and as a way to celebrate, I made a straw poll with the option to either do another Q&A or review a Sat AM episode. The majority who voted wanted me to review the cartoon. And today, I'm taking a look at Heads or Tails, the pilot episode, and the only episode in Season 1 not to have Sonic in the titles. Technically, this episode aired at the end of Season 1, but I'm honoring the production order in this case. So let's get started. Heads or Tails begins with Robotnik returning to his city of Robotropolis with his beloved Robo-Bird, Cluck. Hey, villains are allowed to have pets in cartoons. For instance, Dr. Claw had Mad Cat, Mum Ra had Mom Mutt, and Dr. Wily had a toaster. Anyway, after being greeted by Snively, they head into the control room. Snively informs Robotnik they had no luck in catching Sonic the Hedgehog, but that's when opportunity presents itself. They detect one of the freedom fighters in the fields, one familiar to Tail the Fox.
His name is Tails, and he is usually accompanied by Sonic.
But only in this episode. Afterwards, he'll be reduced to a minor role for the rest of the season. Robotnik sends a robot after Tails in order to bait Sonic. Elsewhere, Sonic demonstrates his guitar skills and his bizarre animation skills to Rotor. Sonic wants to impress Princess Sally and wants Rotor's opinion. Well, they'll have to wait. Tails, being chased by a Buzz Bomber, yells for Sonic. The Hedgehog quickly saves him, and the Buzz Bomber gets a taste of its own blast. Rocks have the ability to reflect lasers in fiction, you know. Robotnik sends a surveillance drone, I assume it's the same one that spotted Tails earlier, so he can let Sonic know one day he and the Power Rings will belong to him. Sonic gives the one response that only he can deliver.
Let's juice.
The three make it back to the hidden village of Knothole, where we meet the rest of the cast, who are busy getting their catapult defense system working. Well, most of them.
Ooh, you're really beautiful when you work, Princess Sally. To me, you'll always be royalty.
Time and place, Antoine. Sally's busy trying to figure out how to get possibly one of the only means of defense between the village and Robotnik, and you're busy playing Casanova. Well, here's Sonic to remind you that you're actually the butt monkey. Sally and Rotor both figure out the problem with the catapults. The cotter pins, the things used to fasten two parts of a mechanism together, are made of wood, and they break every time they use the catapults. In their defense, when you're a group of freedom fighters with limited resources, you gotta make do with what you have. Now, if they want those catapults to work properly, they need metal cotter pins from Robotropolis. And that is Sonic's mission for the episode. The Hedgehog needs an advantage to succeed, so he, Tails, and Rotor head to a lake where out comes a Power Ring, the very item Robotnik wants. Sonic even allows Tails to come along on this trip. You'd think Tails would follow Sonic using, well, his tails to fly. But no, instead, Tails spends the entire trip inside Sonic's backpack. And it must be roomy too, since there are times where you cannot tell the fox is inside. Plus, there's the Power Ring, and whatever space is needed for the metal cotter pins. I think the pack is actually a TARDIS. The duo enter a junkyard inside Robotropolis where they easily find some metal cotter pins. But what's a junkyard without the junkyard dog? In this case, a robotic dog. Sonic recognizes the robot dog as his old pet Mutts. After a brief confrontation, which the only casualty was Sonic's rear, Sonic manages to break through the robotic programming, and Mutski's personality emerges. Some of you are thinking, wait, this thing was Sonic's dog? Yeah, the whole junkyard scene, besides getting the cotter pins, is to highlight the idea of robotization, the main method Robotnik uses to enslave flesh and blood creatures. In fact, Sonic pulls out a picture of the real Mutski and Sonic's Uncle Chuck before encountering Robo-Mutski. Sonic hopes to turn his dog back to normal.
How are you gonna do that? By reversing him through Robotnik's Robo-Machine.
Oh, you should not have said the R word, Sonic. Well, snapping Mutski free from his programming won't work a second time, so he's forced to abandon him. But he declares one day he'll free him. Yeah. SWAT bots ambush the duo, and the chase leads them to the roof of a building.
Come on, bot brains, move it.
And this is why we love Sonic. Even in the face of danger, he doesn't treat the situation too seriously. With the ever-increasing number of SWAT bots and the fact he's carrying his best buddy on his back, Sonic retreats into the building's air ducts. It just so happens the building is Robotnik's headquarters. An amazing coincidence, don't you think? Actually, it's a good thing this happened because Sonic can learn about Robotnik's latest plan. It involves a squad of buzz bombers carrying chemicals created by Robotnik that'll destroy the trees and expose not only Knothole, but the location of the power rings. He even has a special missile made just for Sonic, and wow, you're not trying to be subtle, Robotnik. Tails then demonstrates one of the downsides of being a tag-along kid. It can sometimes lead to the hero being captured. For Sonic though, it's only a minor annoyance. He escapes back to the rooftops where more SWAT bots and vehicles surround him. Robotnik himself wants to witness the Hedgehog's final defeat. That's when Tails hands Sonic the power ring from earlier, supercharging him enough to knock all of the SWAT bots off the roof and book it back to Knothole at supersonic speed. No wonder Robotnik wants those things so badly. Sonic warns the Freedom Fighters about the upcoming attack, so they ready the catapults. The good news is, thanks to the metal cotter pins, they're fully operational. The bad news is, they have limited range. Sonic volunteers to lure the buzz bombers into range because all of Robotnik's robots hate him, and he's doing a very convincing job. Not even the Hedgehog-seeking missile can stop him. In fact, Sonic uses said missile to destroy the buzz bombers carrying the chemicals. Don't worry, the chemical containers landed in an out-of-the-way rocky area. With the buzz bombers in range, the Freedom Fighters begin the attack using water balloons? Huh? You'd think something like rocks would work better, but what they're going for is water plus machinery equals bad. It works as the buzz bombers get tired of getting splashed and decide, screw this, we're out of here. Robotnik's day is ruined, but Sniffly has it worst as he's about to be on the receiving end of his fist. We end the episode with everyone celebrating and Sonic and Sally taking a walk and banter at one another. Like with all pilots, Heads or Tails has the job of establishing what the series is about, who are the major players, and what subplots may or may not continue in the series proper. One such subplot is Sonic hoping to reunite with his family. To give something away early, we will follow up on this thread down the line when we actually meet Uncle Chuck. Plus, there's that tidbit of the robotization process being flawed I want you to put away for later. Sadly though, despite Sonic saying he'll one day free Mutts, this is the dog's only appearance in the cartoon, so he'll never get the chance. In this continuity anyway. Another thing that goes away after this episode is Tails' prominence. Sure, he'll appear in future episodes, but he's usually relegated to minor roles, for the most part. I think it was done to differentiate this series from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, where Tails had a much larger role. Admittedly, I'm not completely sure. Still, the two had a nice brotherly dynamic in this episode. Don't get used to the likes of Pink Sally or Gray SWAT bots. Clearly their designs come from earlier concept art, and when we get into the series proper, we'll have their finalized versions. For season 1 at least. Tonally, it feels like an in-between of the darker Sad AM that'll come later, and the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. In the case of having an example of the latter, the robots have personality here. They'll become more serious in the series proper. This is also the only time we see badniks, in this case buzz bombers, in the series. Again, it's probably to separate itself from the other cartoon, where it has badniks on a regular basis. If I have one major hiccup, it's that at times, the episode really stretches itself to fit the 22-minute runtime. There is a long sequence of Sonic, Tails, and Rotor going down the secret entranceway to Knothole. I get why it exists, but it drags a bit. But that's nothing compared to what I want to talk about next. Between Sonic getting the power ring and he and Tails heading towards Robotropolis, there is a scene where Rotor gives Sonic a sample cotter pin. The way it's edited, it looks like Sonic leaves Tails and Rotor at the ring lake, only to immediately meet up with Rotor at a different spot. Either Rotor is secretly faster than Sonic, has a twin brother that's also named Rotor, or we didn't notice time passing between the scenes. Another thing that tilted my head is the following scene. Tails is flying until he runs runs into a tree. Then he flies again straight into that same tree. What was he trying to prove? That he was better than the tree? Why not just walk or fly around the tree? By the way, it's only afterwards that Tails convinces Sonic to let him come along on the mission. It would have been simpler to have Rotor give the sample cotter pin and bring Tails along at the Ring Lake. Again though, gotta pat out the episode. Despite the flaws, Heads or Tails is watchable. I did not go into the plot in detail because it's simplistic and a lot of things in season 1 are standalone. Oh, I'll get into that more down the line. But it is interesting to see what the series looks like before the creators got a handle on things.
Shoo.